Alright, I know what you guys want, so I'm going to deliver what you want. Today, I'm going to be continuing my Disney VHS collection, this time going through the Black Diamond Classics. This is for the year 2025, and I just finished up showing the Neon Mickey VHS, and so, let's continue with the Black Diamond Classics. Now, these were released from 1984 all the way to the summer of 1994. These first started in December, ended in May. That's the basic gist of it. Got quite a lot of releases in here, different variations. I own every single title in the line. I own many different versions, many different reprints. But we're going to start in part 1 by doing all the films from 1984 to 1990. And then in part 2, 1990 to 1994. And I'll try and give some info on variation differences and things like that. So we're going to start with this 1984 VHS copy of Robin Hood. This is the first ever Black Diamond Classics release with a print date that I am unable to read. It looks like it could be October 8th of 1985 or 84. It's really impossible to read the ink because it's been so faded. But this was an eBay purchase. I really wanted to get this tape for the collection. It's kind of the landmark birth of the home video Disney classics. So I went ahead and ordered it a while back. I've also got here 2 copies of the next installment, Pinocchio, the 1985 VHS. Now, they're different, and for one specific reason. So let's show you this copy. This was a Goodwill store in my hometown pickup. A little bit of the plastics coming off here, but generally in good condition. Got the tape itself. And the print date from the 24th of June in 1985. Now, it just so happens, in the month of June, Disney's darkest animated feature would be released, The Black Cauldron. And so, this tape has a little quirk of featuring the Black Cauldron trailer, but not only that, it's been known that the trailer on this video cassette features frames that were cut from the final film. The film is notorious for getting a PG rating, but it could have been much higher with the amount of content cut. I won't get into it. There are excellent videos on the subject if you care. But there are cut frames, and it is cool to have the trailer on this VHS. It's the only time the Black Cauldron really got a VHS trailer back in the 1980s. Or you know what I mean. So, that's cool. I've also got another copy here. This one's in pretty good condition. All these are in pretty good shape. Some are a bit worse than others. Print date from the 12th of March in 1986. And the big difference, this has no Black Cauldron trailer. This is just the standard red FBI warnings, and then the Black Diamond Classics logo, or as it's called, Cheesy Classics, and then the beginning of the feature. I've also got here the 1985 pressing of Dumbo. This was one I picked up in my hometown. Bird Street Thrift. You can see it's a rental, printed on October 27th of 1985. This tape is in alright condition. Yeah, just the standard Black Diamond Classics release. There is a rare variation of it. So, basically, when this tape was printed, well, for one, they forgot the Black Diamond Classics logo. They instead put on the Neon Mickey logo. But there are copies of this with the MPAA rating screen. Now, that's not all copies. That's only early pressings. I do not believe this is one of them. I've checked it, so I do need to pick that up, but I probably won't, because that would go for a lot of money. And I'm not really into ordering titles that much anymore. I also have The Sword in the Stone, the 1986 pressing. I've owned this one for a long time. Actually, that's partly true. The case I have, the tape I have not. I can't read the print date. This video cassette is actually one that I got without a case. It's the same pressing from what I can tell, but I put it in this case because the copy this came with was damaged. Now, of course, I should get a better copy of The Sword in the Stone and the black clamshell, but at least this copy isn't damaged throughout the opening, like my other one was. Wasn't terrible, but there were quite a few lines, and yeah, not the healthiest thing for the VCR. I also have Alice in Wonderland. This is the last of these first pressings notable for being the only title in the collection with a slipcover. Print date from May of 1986. I'm gonna guess. I can barely read that. That is completely faded away. But tape works well. Nice to have in the collection. And it's a pretty rare pressing, considering it is the 1986 VHS. Also have the 1986 repressings of all these films. And I should define a little bit of history. These came out in the black clamshells. Then they came out with these in white clamshells, but the artwork was still unremovable. And then later on, they repackaged them and gave them updated spines and everything. So we're going to go through the ones that I own. This one right here is Robin Hood. Got this in Clear Lake. Print date from September 27th of 1986. I got this tape brand new and sealed. The case is in pretty bad shape. It was a bit more expensive than I'd like to admit, but it was one that I was looking for. Robin Hood's been the hardest one to get variations for. Just not always common. I also don't know why. Oh, that's why. The pamphlets do not seem to want to let the video cassette take its spot. Also, is that? Yeah. This tape is kind of a mess, but it does work. I definitely could get a better copy. I definitely should look at a better copy. I actually might just put this in a different clamshell, but then it kind of loses its value, so I'm just kind of dealing with the bad case. Also have 2 copies of Pinocchio from 1986. Now, these both open the same way, and they both look the same. But this one, you'll notice, has the same label as the one I showed you earlier. Meanwhile, being printed on July 15th of 1986. This one, however, has an updated label. With no print date, in fact. So, this is basically an earlier pressing. That is why I've kept it. I got this at the Bird Street Thrift. This one I've had for many years. I don't even remember where I got this. And you'll notice that with a lot of the older releases that I've just owned for many years. But there are other ones that I remember very distinctly where I picked them up. So, that's Pinocchio. And I also have 2 copies of Disney's Dumbo. This first one I got at a thrift store I shall not name. Print date is July 22nd of 1986. Got the nice red ink and very profound label. Also got this copy right here with the white and black text. No print date. I also just realized I accidentally deleted part 3 of my Neon Mickey video, so I'm going to have to reshoot that at some point. That was not smart. Oh well. Next, I got The Sword in the Stone, the 1986 pressing. Once again, with the same kind of style of artwork. And the print date of July 8th of 1986. Also just picked up this film on DVD and Blu-ray, which I've heard the Blu-ray transfer is garbage. We'll see if I notice it. I'm more of a DVD guy, but I do have it. And then finally, Alice in Wonderland. This is the last of these kind of art styles for 1986 pressings for the titles that already had releases. This one's printed on the 20th of October. And we're now going to get into a new release for 1986. And we'll talk about some differences in a second. But here are my 2 copies of Walt Disney's classic, Sleeping Beauty. Now, I need to make sure. Okay, yes, this is the right one. So, I wouldn't have 2 of these. Except, I found this one at a Goodwill, I believe in Fremont. I don't remember for sure. But let's start with this one. This was a Bird Street Thrift purchase. My other copy was in terrible condition, due to my own means. Print date, July 31st, 1986. So I had gotten rid of it. I had a bootleg at the time that I ordered off Amazon. I thought they were going to send me the real thing, but they didn't. Anyways, I have that copy. And then this one I got. And it looks like, you know, your average 1986 copy until you realize the label is upside down. So if I just show you this really quick, well, for one, I didn't realize the text was darker on that one. That's interesting. But no, the entire sticker label is upside down, and it's printed on the 20th of March, 1987. You could argue, okay, maybe someone taped it, but you'd really have to tape it well. And I like to be in the fantasy of, oh, it just came like this. It's a very rare pressing. The tape still works. You can't put it in upside down or anything, but it does still work in the VCR. So, there's that. And then I also got... Okay, I better end that stack. That stack's getting a little bit huge there. I've got the 1987 repressings, and I need to make a point of something. This is the 1987 copy of Dumbo. This is a 1986 copy of Dumbo. Read the bottom here. VHS. No VHS. At this point, in 1986, VHS and Betamax were still kind of fighting, but basically VHS had won the format war, and so when they reprinted all these titles in 1987, they just had no VHS tag. They suspected that if you're buying this, it is a VHS copy, and dang it, no print date. I'm gonna have to fix that. Yikes. Alright, anyways, here's The Sword in the Stone, 1987 pressing. Print date from the 25th of June in 1987. And I should say this, if you want to tell if your copy is from 1986 or 1987, just put it in the VCR. That's not hyperbole. What I mean by that is the 1986 pressing... Well, here's another thing that I just noticed. This says Disney's. This says Walt Disney's. But, also, the 1986 copy comes with a preview for The Journey of Natty Gann. The 1987 copy does not. It comes with no previews, no trailers, just the FBI warnings and the standard diamond logo and everything else. It's just the standard blank release, so that's how you can tell. I also have the 1987 repressing of Alice in Wonderland, and despite Disney wanting to repackage their releases, you know, making them look distinct, you'll come to see that Alice in Wonderland, they didn't care. They really didn't. It's the exact same artwork, no matter how late you get on the line. Right here is a 1988 copy, or 89. You can notice they kind of repackaged these. Alice in Wonderland keeps its artwork the exact same, apart from very minor changes, basically throughout the whole line. It's really annoying. It makes it complicated to try and find the right printing that you're missing, but that's how it is. But here's Sleeping Beauty. And I like Sleeping Beauty. I'm actually planning to rewatch it in the next couple of months here. Here's the label. No print date. Maybe I should have showed the upside down one with this one, or something. I don't know. But this is the 1987 pressing. FBI warnings are slightly different. I can't speak. But there's that. I also have the landmark release of 1987. 2 copies of Lady and the Tramp. Now, why do I own 2 copies? Well, you can tell that with the Black Diamond Classics, I always have a reason. There's always a difference. This one, front, spine, back. This one, front, spine, the back. They look, you know, slightly different conditions, but it's what's on the inside. This compared to this. The diamond's in the middle, the diamond is on top. This is the big difference, that depending on the copy you get, the diamond will be in a different place. Now, this one's also needing to be tightened a little bit. You can tell the film strip's in pretty good condition, but I did just tighten it up a bit. If you want my honest opinion, I prefer this one, but they release both, and so I had to pick up both of them. So, that's my collecting habits. Very cool, I like to get the variations, but I have my reasons. Next, we also have the 1988 pressing of Dumbo, once again in the pink clamshell. And you might be wondering, now wait a second, did they just keep the pink clamshell the whole line? No, I'll show you that in a minute. Print date from July 15th of 1988. You'll notice they updated the label font slightly, but here is the real kicker, as they say. This is the 1989 Classics art for Dumbo. Now, it's on a 1988 copy, so I think they actually started using it earlier, but it's most familiar with the 1989 reprint, which I will show you shortly, but here's Dumbo. I also have the Sword in the Stone, another one, you can tell by the holographic sticker. This was a Goodwill purchase in my hometown. No print date, but then finally, for the Sword in the Stone, as of right... Well, actually, no, I have a few more to show you. This is the reprint artwork, and I picked this up at the Goodwill in my hometown. And I actually really like this artwork. I don't like the film that much, but I do like the artwork. I think it's very pretty, and I think, honestly, it looks too good for a kind of bad movie, if I'm being frankly honest. I've also got Alice in Wonderland, the 1988 pressing, which is, as you expect, very similar. I had 3 copies of this at once, because it's a nightmare to tell which one is which. And there was a deal where it's like, hey, buy 10 tapes for $1, so I just grabbed a bunch of copies. This was years ago. I no longer own all of those. I do own, however, the 1989 VHS, of Dumbo. Sort of. I own another copy. I'll show it later. Print date from December 4th of 1993. This might be in the wrong spot. I own a lot of copies of Dumbo and Alice in Wonderland because they reprint these things all the time. I have 2 copies of Sword in the Stone from 1989. This one, updated label. Print date is from the 1st of April in 1991. And then this other copy, man, I've got a huge stack here. This, well, yeah, it is coming apart a bit. No, this right here has an ink label and no print date. I don't know why, but this has had no print date at all. I got this at the ARC store in my hometown, back when it used to exist, like back in 2018. But, man, I actually need to replace this, because this is getting kind of dangerous. Jeez, I had no idea the damage was that bad. I really need to pick up a new copy. I will put that on my list. Yikes. Alright. We're not done yet. We've got 2 more titles, and then we're going to be done for part 1 with the 80s. So here is the 1988 release of Cinderella. I actually own another copy of this, and I forgot to get it down, but I'll show you at the beginning of the next video. But it comes with all these promotionals and this tape, which is in beautiful condition. Nice holographic sticker, all shiny, not a lot of dents or anything, just a nice sticker, just a nice video cassette, nice promotionals. But you get the idea. This is Cinderella, a really nice copy, and yeah, and you know what? Hold on a minute. Let's set the record straight. That was my nice copy of Cinderella. That's the one I display. But I also have this copy, because this one I've had all the way back since February of 2015. There's no print date, the label's a mess, and the case is a mess, but I keep this one purely for memory's sake. But I'm telling you right now, when I'm getting rid of my VHS collection, this one's going in the trash. This one is very old. You can tell it is very, very old and dirty and just... it's not great. But I do kind of love it because it's just a memory. But then, finally, I have Bambi. The original classic feature. The film that I think really defined Disney in what it could do, storytelling-wise. No print date. 1989 release. Has a preview for The Little Mermaid, though. And yeah, that's it for part 1. So, I guess I should stand corrected. I will do part 3 of my Neon Mickey soon. I accidentally deleted the recording. But that is all the Black Diamond classics, all the way up till the 1990s, which starts with that shelf and goes all the way through these. I've also got the foreign releases, like the Spanish and stuff. I'll be doing videos with all that stuff soon. But for now, take care, guys. I hope you have a great evening, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye, guys!